A black teen was being humiliated during a will reading until they realized they inherited everything. The level of humiliation this woman went through was unbelievable. But in the end, she inherited so much money that she could buy an entire village and not even put a dent in what she got. This is one of the most exciting stories we've ever seen. So let's get right into it. The woman's name was Camilla Banks, and she had raised her daughter to be proud of who she was. She made sure her daughter knew her culture and heritage, and she also made sure she knew how strong and smart she was. Now, unfortunately for Camilla, she wasn't rich by any means, but she had saved up quite a bit of money over the years. And she was pretty sure when she passed away, she would leave her daughter with enough to go to college and live a good life. But Camilla didn't know her estranged husband was planning something different. Her ex-husband, Reginald Banks, was a wealthy man who owned multiple successful businesses. However, he left all his money to charity after their divorce. Apparently, he was bitter that Camilla took half of his money when they split up, and now he wanted to make sure she regretted leaving him. He knew Camilla wasn't rich, so he decided to humiliate her in front of the whole family and only give her daughter $10,000. The rest of his fortune was going to his mistress. It was a cruel plan, but a very effective one. Reginald called all his family together in his mansion for the will reading. Everyone arrived, including Camilla and her daughter, and they were all seated around a large table when Reginald's lawyer began reading the will. I, Reginald Banks, leave my house and all my material possessions to my beloved fiancée, Stephanie Jones. Read the lawyer. Everyone gasped when they heard this, especially Camilla and her daughter. Camilla felt her face burning with shame and embarrassment. Her daughter looked down at the table in disappointment. Even though she didn't like her father, she still loved him. Now she understood why he never sent child support checks. He simply used the money to buy expensive gifts for his new fiancée. However, she was too young to understand the full gravity of the situation. So instead, she quietly listened as the lawyer continued reading the will. I leave my collection of classic cars to my brother, Thomas Banks. My art collection goes to my sister, Mary Banks. And finally, I leave $10,000 to my son, Charles Banks, said the lawyer. As soon as these words left his lips, everyone erupted into gasps and murmurs. No one expected Reginald to leave everything to his fiancée and nothing to his own flesh and blood. Camilla's mother immediately stood up and started yelling at Reginald. How could you do this? You promised your son a bright future when we got married, and now look at him. He has nothing. Reginald ignored her and instead calmly sipped on his glass of water. He was enjoying every second of this. Seeing Camilla suffer brought him so much joy. But before he could bask in his glory for too long, the lawyer continued reading the will and said something that shocked everyone. And finally, I leave the rest of my estate to my beloved daughter, Camilla Banks. Everyone stared at the lawyer in disbelief. What did he just say? Was he sure he wasn't mistaken? Surely Reginald wasn't really leaving his entire estate to his daughter. But the lawyer repeated himself. As I was saying, the rest of my estate goes to my daughter, Camilla Banks. A loud gasp escaped Camilla's lips. Could this be true? Was her father really leaving her everything? Well, the lawyer wasn't finished yet. There was one more thing he had to say. In addition to the money, I leave my mansion to my daughter, which means she inherits everything. This includes my stocks, bonds, and other investments. Basically, my daughter is now a multimillionaire. Reginald's jaw dropped in shock. What? Why? He thought he made it clear he wanted Camilla to have nothing. How could she inherit everything? Camilla couldn't believe her ears either. She looked at her father in disbelief. But Dad, I thought you wanted me to have nothing, Reginald stammered, trying to come up with an answer, but no words came out of his mouth. Instead, he stood up abruptly and stormed out of the room. No one dared to speak a word. They were all shocked by the turn of events. When they finally came back to their senses, everyone started asking Camilla questions. She was being congratulated by people she barely knew. Mother was crying tears of joy and her grandmother was hugging her tightly. No one could believe that she was now a millionaire. But the most surprising thing was yet to come. As the celebration continued, Camilla noticed a strange man standing in the corner of the room. He was tall and handsome, with a charming smile and an air of authority about him. She couldn't help but stare at him as he walked towards her. "Hi there," he said with a warm smile. "My name is Michael." Camilla blushed and replied, "I'm Camilla." They talked for a while and Michael explained that he was one of Reginald's lawyers. He had been hired to oversee the distribution of Reginald's estate. "I just wanted to tell you that your father left you everything because he regretted how he treated you in the past," Michael said. "He wanted to apologize, but he didn't have the chance. He passed away suddenly a few weeks ago." Camilla was shocked. He didn't know her father had passed away. She also didn't know he had left everything to her because he regretted what he did. She felt a surge of emotions, sadness, anger, and ultimately forgiveness. She realized that her father wasn't a bad person. He had made mistakes, but everyone makes mistakes. What mattered was that he had apologized in his own way. After the will reading, Camilla received phone calls and letters from people all over the country. They were all part of the charitable organizations that Reginald had donated to. He had given millions of dollars to each of them, and they were thanking Camilla for her father's generosity. She was moved by the impact her father had made on the world, and she decided to continue his legacy. She established a foundation that provided financial assistance to single mothers and underprivileged children. She also donated millions of dollars to hospitals and schools in Reginald's name. She didn't want her father to be remembered for his mistakes, but for his kindness and generosity. As Camilla grew older, she became one of the most respected and admired women in the world. She used her wealth to make a positive impact on society, and she never forgot the lessons her mother had taught her. She remained humble and grounded, and she always remembered that true wealth comes from within. One day, while visiting a school that she had funded, Camilla met a young girl who changed her perspective on life. The girl's name was Maria, and she was a bright and inquisitive 8-year-old. When Camilla asked her what she wanted to be when she grew up, Maria replied, "I want to be happy." Camilla was taken aback by the answer, but it made her think about her own life. She realized that true happiness doesn't come from money or fame, but from within. Maria's innocence and wisdom reminded Camilla of the importance of staying true to herself and following her heart. From that day on, Camilla worked even harder to make a positive impact on the world. She knew that her wealth and privilege came with a responsibility to help others. She took that responsibility seriously. She traveled all over the world, meeting people from different cultures and backgrounds. She learned about their struggles and their triumphs, and she was inspired by their resilience and strength. She realized that no matter how much money or power someone has, they can always find ways to make a difference in the world. Now, when Camilla looks back on her life, she is proud of what she has accomplished. She knows that her father's mistake of leaving her everything actually turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to her. It gave her the opportunity to make a positive impact on the world and to find true happiness within herself. And she wouldn't trade it for the world.